What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Selling Portage podcast. Colin, how are you doing?
I am doing just fine today. The weather is nice. The sun is shining. I had to close my blinds, so I apologize for the complexion on my face right now.
Is that something you have to say often?
I'm a redhead, so I'm either too bright or people can't see me.
What a start.
What a start.
Now, we had council last night.
Yes.
And that led into a new thing that the city is doing. The city council is doing. You just got done doing a series of radio interviews.
I did.
Can you talk about that?
So we started our last meeting. The mayor had gone on, and this week was my turn. And basically what we're doing is a council recap. What happened at last night's meeting? It's going to be happening the morning following each council meeting, which is typically a Tuesday morning just after the 8 o'clock news. So yeah, I went on all three radio stations locally here in Portage and just kind of did a recap. You know, who did we have for delegations last night? What were they there talking about? Went into, some bylaw changes, some new bylaws we're working on as a city, and a public hearing we had last night as well for a variance. So yeah, went on to a few things there.
I'm going to find it very interesting to listen to all three versions of that and see if they're the same.
No, they actually are not the same. Our time is limited, and last night we didn't have many blockbuster topics last night, but we did have a longer agenda. So I tried to spread it evenly throughout the three interviews.
Yeah, that is true. Last night was there wasn't a really hot topics. We had a long agenda. There was a lot of housekeeping type issues.
Yeah.
Like the appointment of a noxious weeds inspector that we are required to do every year by a certain date. So I read that thing every year for, well, not me personally, but it's been read every year since I've been on council for, 14 years.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know what a noxious weed inspector does?
Yes. They look for like invasive species or harmful type foliage that is in certain areas. So I think the lake would be a big focus of ours.
Yep. Yeah, I looked it up after the first time it came to council because I was just like, I don't even know what the hell this is. So
yeah,
prior to the council meeting, I looked up what is a noxious weed and what does an inspector do, and yeah, invasive weed species that wrecks ecosystems and crops, and
yeah.
So now we've appointed an inspector and a couple sub-inspectors to take care of that.
And it used to be like, I think it was years ago, it was Brian Taylor, and now he's retired, and Adam Carpenter has moved up. But I think it was last year too as well.
Yeah.
Plus, the Portage Islamic Association has now been approved for the MOU, so they can start fundraising for their community center.
Yep.
So that will move forward.
I was asked during the radio interviews this morning exactly what an MOU is, and I described it as it's not a legal contract; it's more of a handshake deal, saying that this particular organization has entered into a handshake deal with the city of Portage for a three-year period in order to come up with a plan for their community center and what they would want to do with that land, as well as fundraising, and then at the end of that 3-year period, if nothing's been done to that point, which I don't expect from this organization, but if nothing's been done, then we move on.
It's almost like in real estate terms, it would be like having a conditional offer. So you have an offer for the property, an agreement that certain things need to happen for it to come to fruition. And the MOU basically lays out those things. One of those things is design and approval by the city. So it does not give carte blanche to them just build whatever they want. There will still be some parameters and variances, and the parking issue came up.
Right.
So there is provisions in planning for parking for what is required. And of course, we visit that, and we're flexible with that all the time, but it requires a public hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and then we had the one, not delegation, we had the one applicant in looking for the variance, and this kind of ties into real estate a little bit. The Weebs were in and applying for a variance on property that they recently subdivided, and the property's on the island. And the reason they were looking for the variance is in order to leave room for a driveway to one of the lots that was subdivided, while also keeping it a 2-acre lot. Because as we know in real estate, you are required to have a minimum of 2 acres in order to have a septic field on your property. So
that is correct.
I think that was an important one.
That is very important. Otherwise, they're using holding tanks, and that can be quite expensive and labor intensive depending on the size of your family. And I won't go into much more detail than that.
It's a shitty topic.
Yeah. Before we go any farther, I want to make sure like everybody knows, like, watch this to the end, because we have a guest coming on for the first time ever. And that's going to be the theme of the show. We're going to get to know somebody from Portage. So Caitlin Giercke is coming on the show here right away. And I can't wait to talk to her.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
Got some questions for her. And I know she's a very visible person in our city. And I know she's a familiar face. And for those who see her all the time and don't really know her, I hope to get a little bit of background on her and why Portage, why she chose Portage. Yeah,
and I mean, her husband's a business person, but we'll maybe interview him at another time.
Mm-hmm.
PharmaSafe is the business we're talking about, and they're very active in the community, and they're very active on social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, we'll get to that in a bit. What are we going to talk about next, Colin? Real estate?
Yeah, I did want to touch on one thing to do with the council meeting last night. There was something that, maybe shame on me, but it was news to me a little bit. And that was for a developer in Portage who was applying for an extension on variations they were approved for a couple years ago. And so the part that was news to me was we've seen extensions before. And so their original application was approved. They applied for an extension for 1 year. And then last night they were applying for another 1-year extension. And the part that I was unaware of was the fact that this is their final extension. So once this 1 year is up, if they haven't acted on the properties, then am I correct in saying a new application would be required for the variances?
That is correct.
Okay.
So once you've exhausted your extensions, which we often see extensions, and we sometimes see them, go away. Like lots of people ask for things, change their mind. But this particular one was, this was one that we kind of had sent them back to the drawing board a couple of times, and it wasn't exactly easy. So once I think they'll probably act on it. I hope they will act on it.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. I just want to bring that up. It kind of ties into real estate a little bit, but yeah, let's talk some real estate.
It's been busy, and I've sold many of those listings. I made a joke, but nobody caught it. I said, hate to brag, but this one only took a couple of 100 days to sell. And because some of those difficult listings, they sell in February. They just do, because there's nothing else out there. There's like 25 listings active in the city. I sold another one today, like before we started this recording. I was just at someone's house signing off on it. But an interesting thing about what might have made the difference, the client said to me, I must thank you for the state of the house. And because it was pristinely clean. Well, the reason for that, and she knew this, is because I hired one of the local Hutterite colonies who has a crew that cleans to go in there and clean that thing. And when they walked in, it had been ozonated and cleaned deeply. And that was one of the deciding factors for them to buy that particular house.
Wow. There you go.
They loved the fact that they could just move into it and there was no weird smells or dirty cupboards or anything like that.
Well, and those first impressions matter
Yeah.
big time. I won't go into details, but I did show a client a listing that had been active for a number of weeks, and it was a larger property, and we walked in, and I don't know if it was the owner that lives there or if it's a renter that lives there, and I don't want to speculate, but the condition of the house is what turned my client off. Some people don't have that foresight to see the big picture, right? They'll walk into a place, and if they don't get the good vibe off the hop, they're not interested right away. And in this case, it was just clutter, clutter, clutter everywhere, and frankly, fairly dirty. So, I like to think I can see the big picture. You remove all the stuff out of there, you do a deep clean. Okay, now what are you looking at, right? But some people can't see it, so that's why it's important when your house is on the market and you get showings come up, sometimes last minute, and you got to vacate your property. You want to keep it in good condition for when those eyes come on it, because your intention is to sell that house. So
it's interesting because people have different standards for themselves. So I've walked into a house and people apologize for the mess, and there's no mess, no clutter, and it is pristine. You walk into other places and they think it's sparkling, and it is not. Like
right.
This was years ago in a community, not here, that a buyer walked in and they told their realtor, who passed it on to me as a listing agent, that they wanted the house professionally cleaned. And my seller was deeply insulted because they thought it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, standards play into that.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very optimistic about what the market's going to do here in the next little while. Myself, I've been busy, and I'm going away for a little bit of a hot vacation here in March. So I assume I will be busy, and I will be passing that all on to you and Andrew and Brady.
Yes.
So
I
you guys
will
will be busy.
definitely help you out with that.
Yeah, of course you will.
I am just taking a look at something here because I think that I am approaching a pretty big milestone here. 2 days, so we won't get another podcast before that, but today is Tuesday, and on Thursday is my 1-year anniversary as a realtor.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, that's a pretty big milestone.
Yeah,
So that's when everything in our company, we don't go by calendar years, we go by anniversary year. So you will, everything resets on that day. And that's where our awards fall in. So we don't have a static, it's November to November. It's your start date. 1 year later, did you achieve it or not?
Right.
So it's like a fresh start.
Yep, and I like it. And 1 year in, there's a couple things I realized. First of all, I love this job. Like, I absolutely love it. I love the back and forth, the negotiating. I love meeting new people. But the thing that I love the most about the job is working with those buyers, especially first-time home buyers. And I still hear from a few of them to this day about the excitement that they experience when you hand them over the keys. I was at a friend's house who I had worked with and helped her buy a house in the past. It was a deal that you and I had done, and she says sometimes she still looks around and just can't believe that this is hers. And
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yes. And I love
a great house.
That was a great house, and I just love hearing that feedback. And that's what I love the most about this job, is just buying a house is somebody's likely their largest expense that they will ever undergo in their entire life, and one of the most exciting things they'll ever do in their life. So I just like being a part of that.
Well, I'm glad, man. I feel the same way, and I'm happy you've been here a year, and we'll many more ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I realized is, I was new to the program this time last year, but I do believe there was a lot more listings active in the city of Portage this time last year than there is this year.
Yeah, inventory is way down. When I started almost 9 years ago, there was 120 listings just in the city. Now there's 25.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to say this time last year there was 80-ish, which was, when I put my timeline together, wondering when the spring market is coming. I certainly hope it's around the corner, because I do have some buyers that are eager to make a purchase, and
Yeah.
there's just not a lot out there right now.
I got a few in the pipeline, and they're all kind of waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, buddy, we got to jump off of this one and into the one with our guest.
Okay. Sounds great.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, here she is. Caitlin, how are you doing?
Today I'm good. Every day is different. Every day is an adventure in my life. So today I'm having a great day. How about you guys?
Doing great. Colin's arm looks really long right now.
Just turning
He's
down
trying
my
to get
volume.
the best angle here, right?
Yeah.
I had like this, Caitlin Giercke. Oh,
Do I have sound effects? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
that was applause. I hit the wrong one. I hit small crowd clap.
Oh, no, I prefer the loud clapping.
Yeah. Well, Caitlin, you are the first guest that we've had on the Selling Portage podcast.
Awesome.
And we're hoping to make it into something that everyone becomes aware of soon. But welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you guys reached out. This is awesome. I love talking about Portage and myself and all that good stuff.
Perfect. We're going to get along great.
Then you'll fit in here. Yeah, we love talking about ourselves.
So let's just touch on, where are you right now?
I am currently in my office at PharmaSave. I'm the owner, pharmacist, manager at PharmaSave. I use air quotes because this is my office, but I am never in here. It's always someone else is using my office. My front store manager, Gino, we kind of joke it's his office. So it's kind of nice to sit down for a minute. In my line of work, we don't really sit much. We're constantly running around, and it's nice to take a break.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if we go back a little bit, what inspired you to start PharmaSave in Portage la Prairie?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I have been a pharmacist for 20 years, almost 20 years. It'll be 19 years. And I was working at the same place, and I knew my patients, and my patients knew me. And then it kind of just got too big. And I was the manager at the time, and I was finding I was doing things that weren't like pharmacist-y anymore. And I didn't know my patients anymore. And I wanted to kind of go back. I kind of used the term grassroots pharmacy. I just wanted to be a pharmacy where people knew you and you know them. So my story kind of starts in spring 2020, which of course we all know what's going to happen in spring 2020, but I didn't know at the time.
Sure.
So I signed a lease, I did all my paperwork, I did everything. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, you can't open. And with opening a pharmacy, there has to be inspections, there has to be all this kind of stuff. And none of that happened. So I was supposed to open in April, didn't open till June. My pharmacy inspection had to be virtual. I was the first pharmacy in Manitoba to have a virtual inspection. Then, June 2020, then snowballs, and here we are 5 years later. So it's pretty cool.
That is cool. And I would say with regards to, getting your finger back on the pulse of who your patients are and getting to know them, and that grassroots pharmacy thing, mission accomplished. That's one thing that never ceases to amaze me when I walk into your store is everybody there knows my name. And it's not just my name, it's the person in line in front of me, and everyone stops to not just take your money, but say hi, how's your day going? And I think that's important.
I have to give shout outs to my team too, because our team is all recognizable faces. We have been in our community a long time, and we love our community. Then that's why, I've had the same staff I've had for as long as I've had. And every day I have people asking me like, oh, are you hiring? Or, can I drop off a resume? And it's wonderful to know that other people see that and that they want to be part of the team too. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. It's a compliment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of pressure too. Don't get me wrong. But no, it's wonderful. It's, we're very lucky to have the support in town that we do have.
So aside from dealing with all the challenges of the pandemic,
Yeah.
what is one of the biggest obstacles of having a business in Portage?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't want to say like competition, because there is a lot of that for me. I think part of it is trying to run the business the way I want to run it, because we expanded a couple of years ago, and the first thing people say to me is like, oh, when are you going to open on weekend or on Sundays, and when are you going to open on holidays, and are you going to expand your hours? And I still want to keep doing what I'm doing within my parameters. But as I grow and as our town, grows and things like that, I want to do more, but I also want to not, how do I put it? I don't want to become too big. You know what I mean? And I find that the community itself might be like, oh, do more, do more. And don't get me wrong, we do a lot of things that other pharmacies don't do. But there's a certain time that I have to say, you know what, I can't. I can't expand my hours. I can't get any bigger than I am, because I still want to be able to do the same level of care. And I can't do, we're still small, even though we're bigger, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And one big challenge too, not necessarily running a business, but running my business, is a lack of pharmacists. Like if I could have another pharmacist on team, that would be amazing. But there's just not, they're hard to come by. We only graduate a few, maybe 40 or 50 in Manitoba, and there's, again, a lot of competition. So yeah, I don't know. It's just wanting to keep doing what I'm doing, but also wanting to grow. It's can be a challenge.
Yeah. Expansion is great, but sometimes
with it comes an expectation too.
Yeah, there's an expectation, and sometimes you lose, you can end up losing the reason you opened your own pharmacy.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get to, for sure. Well, and I mean, at the end of the day, like I'm here a lot, but I also have a husband and 3 kids, and we're busy, and if I didn't have my husband doing most of the, kid activities and things like that, I wouldn't be able to run the business that I have too. So that's part of it. I can't hire another pharmacist. I can't expand my hours because I do have other commitments too. Although some days it feels like my business is my 4th baby, it really is. But,
so shout out to your good husband then.
Yeah, shout out Jason.
We'll have to get him on here at some point too.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, he would hate that.
So, I mean, let's go back. Like, do you want to talk a little bit about your history? Born and raised and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not from Portage. I'm a champion Portager, and I like to say that I'm here by choice. I love Portage, and I wouldn't have my home, my family, or my business here if I didn't love it. But I was born and raised in Winnipeg. I went to U of M. So it wasn't far for me to come, 45 or 75 kilometers down the road. But I was placed in Portage for 2 years under a contract with my previous pharmacy. And then after the 2 years, my boss at the time was like, well, do you want to stay? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to stay. So I did. I bought a house. Basically met my husband in 2008. We got married in 2010. Or no, 2011. Oops. It just feels like forever. No, I'm just kidding. And then we had 3 babies in 3 years. So yeah, that's my life story in a nutshell. And the timing was perfect for opening PharmaSave because my youngest had just started full-time kindergarten. So I was like, okay, I'm done with the nursery school and I'm done with this. And, they ride the bus and it was perfect. So timing was great. And I love Portage. So that's why I wanted to have a business here and raise a family here.
And not to put you on the spot, but what was it about Portage that made you want to stay after your term was up?
Well, honestly, it was my job. I loved my job. I loved the people I worked with. And I don't know, I hear a lot of young people saying, oh, I want to go here, I want to do that, I want to do that. But I'm kind of a homebody, you know, so even to be in Portage, which was close to Winnipeg where my parents were, you know, I didn't feel the desire to go back. I like the small town feel. Like it wasn't really in my mindset that, oh, I'm only ever going to be here for 2 years. It just worked out and I just loved it. So.
Right. That's great. And
yeah,
Portage,
and I do like to point out too that I chose to stay before I met Jason. Jason wasn't the reason I stayed, but
well, no, and Portage is the kind of city, you know, we have the big city amenities with this while keeping the small town vibe, right?
100%. And I'm a huge advocate also because I have a small business. You know, shopping local, I'm not that person that's driving into Costco to buy my groceries. You know, like I'm shopping local. I probably go to Winnipeg twice a year. And that's only if I absolutely have to, you know, like that's how much of a homebody I am. I'm like, if I can do anything locally, I will do that. So 100%.
If I could avoid Costco, I would be a happy person, but unfortunately those values are not shared in my household.
Well, and yeah, as my kids grow, I'm sure, you know, we'll probably have to bulk shop at some point, but you know, it'd be nice if one of those places could come here, but yeah.
True. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, there might be.
It's a whole nother conversation.
It's a whole other thing. Now you talked a little bit about it, but I mean, how are you balancing your personal life with running your business?
Oh, see, that's the hot topic of the day. I'm not, honestly, at this point. You know, it comes in waves. There's certain times that it's like, I feel like I've got it all together. I can do the home stuff. I can do the work stuff. And then some days I have to be here from 6 a.m. till close, and I work 6 days a week, you know, and I apologize to my family and I say, I'm sorry. Sometimes you have to, how do I put it? You just kind of have to suck it up and know, like, I have to do the work right now. But my family's wonderful in supporting me that way, but it's hard. Like, there's a little sign over here, employees must stop crying before returning to work. Like, there's some tears shed back here because it's a lot. It's a lot. But
you're talking short-term pain for long-term.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, when we close 1 to 2 for lunch, my nurse Barb, she tries to take me on a forced march. So we're trying to go outside and get our heads cleared and, you know, get some fresh air. It's been too cold, you know, before now. But yeah, some days are really tough. And I wish that I could say, you know, that I have time to talk to somebody about my mental health. I don't, and I know I probably should, but I think I'm also very open in that too, that it's not easy. I couldn't do it if I didn't love it, honestly.
Yeah, I love hearing that because we were talking just before you came on the podcast. I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary in real estate on Thursday, and I love my job.
Yeah,
it's the greatest move I ever made, you know, and I absolutely love every single day of what I do. And if you don't love your job and you don't have the passion, it shows, right?
100%. Yeah.
You know, your pharmacy is a place where people who walk in there understand that everyone there knows their job, loves their job, right? Yeah. And it's very obvious that's the kind of people you look for when you hire. But I just wanted to ask you, because you do offer things in your pharmacy that a lot of pharmacies don't. Can you elaborate on what kind of services you provide?
100%. Like, the biggest thing that I have, and I mean, my entire team is wonderful, you know that. But Heather has been with me almost since day one. And she takes so much initiative. She finds things that I didn't even know were things. Like, it started with compressions, and now we offer braces that are covered by Manitoba Health. Like, you used to have to drive to Diamond Athletic to go get these things, and now you can get them here. She went to Mississauga last November to do a course on fitting women who have had mastectomies with prosthetics and bras and things like that. Like, no other pharmacy is is offering those kind of services. Like she has an office and she hardly leaves her office. Honestly, that's how busy she is with all this stuff. And I finally said to her, Heather, I don't think you can take on more. So that is amazing. And then I was talking earlier about my lack of being able to hire a pharmacist. And my wonderful friend Barb is a nurse, and she actually retired during COVID. And when I was struggling with being the only pharmacist and doing vaccines, she's like, Caitlin, you know what? I want to help you. And it took her 2.5 years to get recertified because of all the legal whatever stuff. So she gets her license, and now I have an in-house nurse. Kind of a seasonal position because, during the summer, you don't really need many vaccinations and things like that. But for us to be able to offer, walk-in vaccines, and she's taking her asthma course. So then we're going to be doing, clinics about, asthma and COPD and things like that. It's just, I have the team that I just feel that other pharmacies don't have. I'm very, very lucky.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shifting a little bit back to you personally.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that Portage La Prairie would be surprised to learn about you?
This is a job interview, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm a pretty open book. I'm like, I don't really have many secrets. Well, I was going to say, everybody knows I love red wine. Everybody knows I love the bingo, Kinsman bingo. Yeah, what do people not know about me? I haven't been on a winter vacation since 2012. Does that count? I renewed my passport in 2018 for the 10 years, and I think it'll probably expire before I get to use it.
So
you are a homebody.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any good skeletons in my closet. I don't know. Yeah, you really put me on the spot with that one.
Hey, yeah, well, that's what we do.
Yeah.
So
well, I guess since I'm the first guest, I didn't really have any heads up.
I assume that Jason is okay with not doing a hot vacation.
He's more of the let's go skiing, snowboarding kind of guy. And we used to go to Vegas quite often before we had kids. My last vacation was when Jason turned 30 in 2011. I was 7 months pregnant and we went to Vegas. Do not recommend. And then a year later, we went to Cabo for my 30th. So that was basically it. And then we've had a whirlwind. We've been married 14 years. We just celebrated our 14th wedding anniversary. And it's been a whirlwind. And I thank him every day for putting up with me.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to keep you too long, but I did want to ask you a question because I'm going to do a selfish plug here. The Portage Cornhole Club.
Oh, I love the cornhole.
So you are playing in your first tournament coming up next month as a player in the tournament.
Yes.
But you were one of our sponsors when we first started this. You are a sponsor of ours with PharmaSave as a business. And I just wanted to ask you, what made you want to get involved in a grassroots organization like this? What was your reasoning behind it?
So I had seen you post on Facebook when you had done it at the campground, and I thought it was such a cool idea. And I love to be involved in small things. Like we are, we're sponsors of Curling Manitoba, and the Terriers were big, but I like to do the small things. We sponsor a lot of local teams. I don't know. I just love being involved in stuff like that, especially right off, out of the gate. It's one thing to come on board when everybody already knows everything about it, but I just thought it was so fun. And I didn't make the first one because Natalie had signed up and I had to work, of course. And then the second one, I showed up after I closed at 2:00 to cheer on some of my friends that were playing. And it's so much fun. So I'm really looking forward to playing. I think Jason's going to be my partner, but I'm not 100% sure yet. If not, I'll maybe bring Deacon or something. But yeah, anything that we can, support, especially something that's just, getting its legs is great.
Well, that's great because there is a handful of businesses in Portage where you do see their sponsorship name everywhere, right? and you are one of them. And I mean, sponsorship dollars are important to big organizations, small organizations, but at the same time, they're dollars out of your business's pocket as well, right?
Yeah.
And the appreciation, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but the appreciation from our club is we are so grateful to have people like you, businesses like you in Portage who help support these small things, because we've put a ton of effort into getting this off the ground, and one of our biggest barriers was funding, right? And so I just want to say that we appreciate you and what you do for this community.
Yeah, and I hope that people aren't like, oh God, PharmaSave, there it is again, but I am lucky that I have the ability to do this because people support my business. So it's a no-brainer to me that to be able to do this, but I do understand where maybe other businesses don't have that kind of luxury. So yeah, I hope people aren't like, oh, that damn PharmaSave red box again.
I doubt that will come out of anybody's mouth.
Yeah.
And I used to do this other podcast years ago, and we'd always ask these 3 kind of fun questions at the end, and I really gave some good insight onto to you as a person a little bit. So I'll ask them to you now.
Okay. I hope I do better than the last one.
What is the favorite book you have ever read?
Oh, that's a good one. See, I went through a phase where I just loved all of the young adult books, like all the Harry Potter's, Hunger Games, Catching Fire, all those series. Okay, this is going to sound silly. My absolute favorite book that I have read probably a dozen times is called Summer Sisters by Judy Blume. You'll have to Google it. It's and actually one of the main characters' names is Caitlin. That's just a random thing spelt the right way too, like my mom always says. But it's one of those books I pick up every couple of summers, and it takes me back. I read it in high school for the first time, and spoilers, I always cry at the end, even though I know it's going to happen. But yeah, I haven't thought about that in a long time. Good question.
Great.
Well, in the same vein, now I got to ask what the favorite movie is.
Oh, see, I'm not a movie person. I am not a movie person. I will watch TV. I will watch, 2.5 hours worth of a show, but to get me to sit down and watch a movie, and, shameless plug, I love our movie theater. I love Prairie City Cinema. I'll drop my kids off there all the time to watch movies, but I don't not remember the last movie I actually saw in a theater.
Okay, well, let's adjust the question then.
Okay.
And say, what's the favorite show?
Oh, see, and I'm a big Office fan. I'll watch that one over and over. And a girlfriend of mine told me to watch Shameless. And I was like, again, I would prefer to watch half-hour shows because then I can watch 6 in a row. And Jason watched Shameless and he loved it. My sister-in-law loved it. Finally started it. I'm obsessed. It is so good. And it's leaving Netflix in 10 days. So I have to watch 4 seasons. I'm only in season 8. So I have to watch a lot in the next couple of days. So,
do you have a Dwight Schrute in your pharmacy?
I do. I have, my friend bought me Schrute Farms bed and breakfast mints.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love sitcoms, and when you watch something that's familiar, then you can be doing something else too, I'm always a multitasker too. So for me to sit, that's why I probably don't like movies, because you have to sit and pay attention,
That's my Seinfeld.
Yeah, I love Seinfeld. I love all those old sitcoms. I can watch them over and over again. Yeah.
Now this one's a little bit harder, and I probably should have warned you because it's a very tough question to answer.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Okay.
What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
That is a loaded question. Yeah, I'm always full of cliches too. My favorite is ignorance is bliss. I would just rather not know if it's not something that's productive to me or.
That's actually pretty good.
That is a good answer.
We can go with that because
Really? Okay, because that is my favorite saying. Like, I'd rather just, I feel like I'm one of those people, and I say this a lot at work, where I feel like I have all these tabs open in my brain, you know, like on a computer. And yeah, one less tab. But
yeah.
ignorance is bliss. Like, if it's not important to me, don't bother me with it. I've got so many other things. I feel like I have so many hats on it all the time, you know. Yeah. Can I
like that.
go with
I like
that?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want on this podcast.
I guess.
Yeah. You go off the rails.
Okay.
You can even have a glass of red wine, but you're
I only have water this morning. Blue Moon water. That's my favorite. Shameless plug. See what I did? Shameless.
I talked to Jamie just before we came on here. So telling me he needs to watch to the very end to get his shameless plug.
Oh, that's
There
so
you
funny
go.
because one Christmas I was kind of joking. I don't know how it came across. You know what it was is, again, I advertise a lot with, you know, Golden West radios, Portage online, and I kept hearing the ad, and I was like, you know, I love this ad where it's like your barista or I can't remember because he plays a different one now. And I said to my staff, I was like, for Christmas, I'm going to get you guys a water cooler, and we have it right in our dispensary and we use it so much. I was just like, it was the best thing I ever did was get that water cooler. So
that's great.
Other businesses, you do it. But no, we go through a ton. Like, he has to come twice a month, and I'm always like, okay, we need more water. But,
that's good.
Yeah.
Colin, anything else?
No, I think that's great. You have been a wonderful first guest, and
well, I have nothing to compare to, so
well,
of course
you
I will.
are the best one we've ever had.
Okay, thank you. I'll take it.
And we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. We know how busy you are, and you know, once we sign off, you can close that tab in your head and
get back to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Caitlin, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for asking me. And like I said, I'm always happy to talk about my business, myself, and whatever else comes up.
Love it.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys again soon.
See you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Caitlin.
All right. Bye.